Hey, are you missing Mexican restaurant style fajitas with Mexican rice and refried beans and steak and fajita and pico de gallo? Stick around because we made it. We used riced chicken for our Spanish rice. We used black soybeans as our low carb refried beans. And then of course, sauteed onions and peppers for our fajita part and steak bites. And we even made our pico de gallo guacamole from scratch. So stick around if you're missing a Mexican restaurant, especially the rice and beans. Don't miss out, y'all. Hey, it's Terry. I've lost 180 pounds with keto, carnivore, and counting calories. Now I'm doing low carb while I'm in maintenance. Thank you for watching. To get our fajita started, I've got these country style beef ribs, and I'm gonna just cut these into strips so that I can saute them later. So that's what I'm gonna do, is go ahead and cut these into, well, I'm really more making them medallions, but that's okay. Whatever it is, they're gonna be little enough that, you know, I wanna be able to have bite-sized pieces, and I'm gonna be sauteing these up later. So right now I'm just gonna get all these sauteed up, and then I'll be back with the next step. I have the meat cut up, so next I'm going to start with the rice. I use riced chicken. I take ground chicken. You can see my video from last weekend and see how I do it. But what this is crock potted ground chicken. And I do it in the crock pot. And when I do that, it's fast and easy. But then later on when I need to use it, it is pretty wet. So the next step I'm doing is I need to dry this out. So I'm not going to put a lid on it. It's already cooked. It doesn't need to be cooked. It just needs to be dried out. So I got Big Bertha here. She's already dirty. So I'm just going to kind of warm this skillet up and just try to get as much surface of this riced chicken onto the surface of my skillet. And again, I'm just going to dry it out. So I will touch base with you here and there so you can kind of see the process of how I do that. Okay, I'll get back with you. It's been a few minutes. I covered it up just to kind of heat it up a little bit. Now I'm going to leave this lid off. So like I said, now is about just drying it out. So it doesn't need to be super hot, and this will take some time. So I will see you when it is dried out. But that's what I do. And I do believe last time I took a couple paper towels. I think I did it once or twice. I don't know if I did it twice or what, and just kind of pressed it to get some of the extra water out. You can do that too. This was frozen, so there is some excess liquid already. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna leave it uncovered and have it on medium low and let it kind of dehydrate a little bit, and I'll be back. So I have a frozen garlic clove, and I want to go on and I'm going to put it in now and let it kind of work on melting. And then later on, if it gets really good and soft, I can push it through my garlic musher. But for now, I just want it to unfreeze and kind of flavor up the riced chicken. I watched a few videos on how to make Spanish rice, or I'll call Mexican rice because I'm making a Southwestern meal. It's definitely getting drier. I actually went ahead and took that garlic clove and I mushed it through the little musher. And let's see, we're getting there. A lot less. This is the second time. I have not done this off camera. But we're getting there. Still a little bit of water. But it seems like what they do is after, you know, when the rice, they add in some like tallow or something. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some tallow. I had it in at first, but pulled it out real quick. So I'm going to add in some tallow. And I'm going to just kind of saute this up a little bit. And because we're wanting to kind of get it to kind of brown and dry out, but then give it a little flavor. So when this chunk of tallow melts, we are going to go ahead and add in some seasonings to it. Listen, I ain't never made Spanish rice or Mexican rice or whatever you want to call it, so please don't fuss at me. I'm just winging it. I am just winging it to be something that sounds good. You make this how it fits your taste buds. In the meantime, I am going to add a little cilantro. That might be about a half a tablespoon. And then we're going to add some, I have this medium fajita seasoning. About a tablespoon. And this was 14 ounces of riced chicken. So now we're starting to build our flavors. So we're giving our rice a little bit of seasoning flavor. And like I said, we're going to let this go and kind of brown a little bit. And I'll be back. Listen, I just tasted that, and that is not enough seasoning for me. You know what? We're going to be adding some seasonings. I'm adding in some onion salt. I'm going to add in some garlic salt, because I just do with everything. It's just what I do. It for sure needed salt. It also says to add onion, so I'll go ahead and add the onion now, because that's going to make it wet. So it'd be better to go on and put that in now, so that way it all is working on drying out at the same time. That was some frozen onions. Don't ask how much. Whatever you think you would like. Do it till your heart is happy. So now, let's see what that is. Yeah, I tasted a piece of that chicken, and you know chicken is bland. I do know one person added tomato paste to it when I watched them, so that's better. Much better. It still isn't very southwesterny, so I'm going to add some more of this fajita seasoning. Which this doesn't need a super strong flavor. This is only part of the meal, but still. Alright, I'll see you in about 4 or 5 more minutes. Okay, I'm going to put just a little bit of this tomato paste in it. This is the St tomato paste. There we go. Just enough to give it some pretty color. Get that stirred in. Kind of soften that up a little bit so it gets spread around. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this rice and set it to the side. I'm going to put it in something else and set it to the side and go forward with other stuff. But I want to finish making sure that that tomato paste is kind of incorporated into all of it. Let's take a little taste of the rice. Yeah, that's good, you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's like I'm going to have Mexican again. I don't know if this will fit in there or not, but I'm going to try it. I'll be back. Take a look here. You tell me this doesn't take on the texture of rice. Look how light and fluffy that is. And whatever you all normally put in your Mexican rice, you can add it. But you cannot tell me that we can be low carb and that we can't do something to mimic rice. That is ground chicken right there. All right, let's go on to the next step. I'm going to put about half of this meat in here. And we're going to cook this up. Now we're going to saute this beef up, and I'm going to get this seasoned up. We're going to go back in with some of the stuff we just used. We're going to use a pinch of cayenne pepper, just a pinch. Don't want to get wild with it. Don't want to burn my little mouth here. We're going to use some of our mild Southwest ranch seasoning. We're going to use some of our medium fajita seasoning. A little bit of cilantro. And some salt. And we're just going to saute this all up and just kind of cook it up, and then when it's done, I'm going to put it in another container. So I will be back when it looks like all my beef is cooked up. It's been 2 minutes and I stirred it up, and now I'm going to reset it for 3 more minutes. It's definitely not done, so we're going to go for another 3 minutes. Alrighty, coming along. I think I'm going to go ahead and do just a couple more minutes because some of them still don't look quite done. And I'm not worried if I cook them too long. I'll be okay with that. So we'll go 2 more minutes, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in here, and then I'll do the next batch. But I'll come back in 2 minutes when I put them over there. Okay, I think I'm going to call it done. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and put it into here. And I'll use this one. This will make it a lot easier. So I'll pull the meat out and put it in here, and I'll do the other batch, and I'll season it up the same way, and then I'll get back with you when all of the meat has been cooked. Okay, all the meat is done, and I've got it here in my little bowl. Now, I understand traditional fajitas might not have mushrooms in it, but that's all right. I'm making my own version of fajitas. So you do what you like, but I want some mushrooms in mine. So I've got here, down in this liquid that I've got going, you know, probably a lot of that seasoning came off of the beef. Oh, this might be bad. We will see. Hopefully that cooks down some. But anyway, so a lot of that seasoning did go down into the into that liquid, and so now I'm not going to add much seasoning right now. First, I am going to cover this and let this go, so that way the onions and peppers, these are frozen. I want them to defrost, so of course it's going to drop the temperature down quite a bit. So I'm going to set it for 10 minutes, and in 10 minutes we will come take a look and see what it's looking like. Y'all, there's still icicles and it's still frozen, so I'm going to let this go quite a bit longer. But I'm going to keep it covered until I don't feel anything frozen anymore. So I'll keep it covered another 10 minutes. And then in 10 minutes I'll take the lid off and let it start cooking out the liquid. Okay, so it's been 7 minutes. I tasted it. It for sure needs more salt. Man, oh man. I'm not going to get too wild, but it definitely needs more salt. So now I'm just going to leave the lid off and let it kind of simmer and reduce and all, oh man, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna let that go, and I'll check it every few minutes, but I'll come back when it reduces enough to where I want it. Because remember, it's going to be like fajitas, and you don't want your fajitas soupy. So I'll be back in a little bit. You can see that this is starting to thicken up. There's still liquid in it, but I don't know. I kind of want to let it keep going until that liquid renders out a little bit more. Because like I said, I don't want soupy, but I don't want it all mushy either. So maybe I will pull this out and put this in a bowl, and then we'll start on the next step. So I'll get all this out of here and then I'll be back. I separate out the onions and mushrooms, and look at that. I am saving this broth. Oh my gosh, that is be amazing in some type of soup or something. So I'm just going to let it sit and cool down, and then eventually I'll put a note on it that says onion and pepper and beef broth, no dogs. So now I'll let it just cool down off to the side, and this will be great to put with a roast or whatever you want to use it for. Also, there's our mushrooms, onions, and peppers. And they are seasoned up very well. I'm just going to set them to the side because we have one more thing to make till we have our good Mexican restaurant style fajitas. Low carb. So this next step, our final step, I bought some of these black soybeans. They are, this has 3.5 servings. So they're 3.5, so 6. So I'm doing 2 cans, so it'll be 7 servings worth. One serving will have 130 calories, 4.5 fat, 11 total carbs, 6 fiber, and 11 protein. So if you're doing net carbs, it's 5 net carbs. So we are going to use these, and we are going to make us some refried beans. What I've done, I have drained them and rinsed them, and now I'm just waiting when this heats up. We're going to heat this up, and then I'm going to actually saute a little bit of onions first, and then we'll add in the beans. Since the onions are frozen, I'm just going to add them in right now, because it's not like it's going to do much for it. So we're going to add those in. I'm going to saute up these onions, and whenever it's good and mostly sauteed, we're going to add in these beans. Like I said, this is 2 cans of the drained beans. I'm going to add in another frozen garlic clove, just so that way it can kind of start getting soft enough. And in a little bit, I will send it through my little garlic masher. Got the onions over here that's kind of covering up the little garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the beans. And we're just going to kind of saute them up in here a little bit. And as soon as that garlic gets a little softer, I'm going to mush that up. But in the meantime, we're going to work on these beans. Going to kind of fry them. And yeah, based on what I see, that's kind of what they do. So hopefully it'll taste halfway decent. I do know at the end they mash them around. Sometimes they use bacon. Oh, I was going to use bacon. I didn't remember. I was going to use bacon grease. I forgot. Hey, I might have some bacon pieces. Listen, I know it ain't the same, but I'm making mine. You make yours. I'm going to put in some of these real bacon pieces. I think that'll make it taste real good. Alright, now I'm just going to let this kind of fry up a little bit and see how she does. It was tallow that I used instead of bacon grease. Some people use bacon grease. I used tallow. And here in a jiffy, I'll mush up this garlic clove. Just cover it right there. Here's how I label my broth. It says beef, onion, mushroom, pepper, broth, no dogs. So then I will put this in my freezer and this will keep it frozen until I need it for something. So here's the little press thing I used. I'll put this little garlic in here. And come on, scoot up just a little higher. And I mush it out like I see them do on TV. Except mine doesn't look as nice and neat as it does on TV. They only show us that part. They don't show us the inside messy part. But, so there's still some garlic left behind inside. There we go. Right there. So, alrighty. So, we did our garlic. And I was going to put that broth away, but actually I'm not. Because as these soften up, I'm going to put some of that broth in there. A little, just to kind of give it a liquid, so that way when I mash it up, there's a little bit of liquid in there too. So, but right now I'm just trying to kind of get it all heated up all the way through and all that good stuff. Because I want the beans to be pretty soft. Alrighty, I am going to, I need some seasonings for my beans. So let me grab my stuff here. We're going to go on and use some of this, the same stuff, this medium fajita seasoning. Some of the mild Southwest Ranch seasoning. I'm just using the same thing. And I do understand that refried beans are pinto beans. But you know, when we're low carb, we do what we got to do to make things something that we can eat. You know what I mean? When I was on the way down, I never tried these before. Elizabeth just mentioned them down in the comments. And so I went ahead and bought some. I was either Elizabeth or Sing It. You all know my memory. Please don't be mad at me. I'm going to put some of this broth back in it. And let's see how that goes. We can always add more if we need it. It doesn't have to go in the freezer right this instant. So, yeah, we're just going to, I think I'm going to cover them and just let them simmer for a while. And then whenever they get soft enough, we will mash them. But let me, just a second here. Oh yeah, I also want to add, a little tomato paste too. I don't know if there's tomato paste in refried beans, but there's going to be tomato paste in Terri's refried beans. So you can do it or not do it. Now, just so you know, these beans were $4.50 a can. So use them sparingly. But I got them because, you know, I'm not going to lie. You know, you all know that my channel is monetized, okay? And I feel like because of that, I need to do things like, you know, spend that money on more than just me. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I like to use that and go out and buy extra special things so that I can recreate things on my channel. Like those chips and just in these beans and just various things, you know. That's how I feel like it. I like to put the money that you guys are so kind enough to watch the commercials on my channel. So I like to put that money back in to you guys since y'all are the ones putting in the work. So anyway, because every time you all watch commercials, you know, that does something. So anyway, I just want to say I appreciate it. So that's whenever I go out and buy random things that we can try together. All right, enough babbling, Terri. I'm going to put this lid on and we'll let them simmer for about 5 minutes and see how it goes. Let's take a look here. They're softening up some. What I need them to be able to do is to be mashed. So let's take a look. I have my meat masher. Some people use like a, you know, an immersion blender, which works too. But what I found when I watched them is that they mashed them up and then they kind of let them cook until all the liquid was out to kind of thicken them up like the restaurant style ones. So I'm going to kind of mash some more and I'll be back. Alright, so we're going to go with the blender thing, immersion blender, and see how that works. I'm going to add in some more water though, or some more broth. Now, this could be very messy. We're going to find out. Let's take a look. It's definitely like chopping them up more. I'm going to end it there with that part. And now we're just going to, my glasses are a mess. And my stove is a mess. Now I'm just going to turn it down a little bit and just let it keep going until I get a lot of that moisture out of there. Because that's the point. You know, the beans that you get on your plate at the Mexican restaurant are not thin. So we want these to thicken up. So now that we've kind of pulverized it a little bit, now we want to just let it kind of evaporate. And remember, in the end, we need to make it to be 7 servings. So it's not going to be a lot of beans on our plate. So it's just enough to give us that feeling of having refried beans. So I'm going to let this simmer. And we'll check back in about 5 minutes. In the meantime, I got to clean this up and deal with the thing that she said, all my timers that just went off. It's been 5 minutes. You can see that the liquid is starting to come out. And it's getting to be more thicker. And I'm going to let it go another few minutes. And I'll get back and we'll see how it's doing. We'll try 4 minutes. 4 minutes. I want to scoop out a little bite to taste them, but I don't want to eat it now, so I'll set it here and let it cool, and then we'll take a taste. Well, I let this last until the whole timer went off. That's good, but I think they're a little too stiff. Like the bean is too hard. Like I chopped it up too soon. So what I think I'm gonna do, let me try another whole bean and see what I think of it. But that's good. You guys, how fun. That's better. That's better, but I'm going to add some more broth in them because I really want them to simmer longer and soften up more. I definitely did not let them simmer long enough before I mushed them up. But that's okay. It was a learning experience, you know? It's all a learning experience. So, yeah, let's let it kind of simmer together and let it reabsorb and evaporate the liquid again. So I think this time it will be better. Let the beans kind of cook a little bit longer. So, all right. Now let's let it go another 5 minutes and we'll be back in 5 minutes. It's been 5 more minutes and they're definitely getting less soupy. So I just need them to finish, you know, drying out a little bit. And when they're done this time, whenever they're done, they should be soft enough. Let me take one out and see what I think, if it's better this time. Find a whole one to get a hold of here. Yeah, That's much better. So, if you decide to make this, make sure you get your beans really good and soft before you chop them up with your immersion blender. So, anyway, so we'll let this go for another 5-7 minutes and see how it looks then. While the beans are finishing up, I am going to make a little bit of my own, Pico de Gallo. So I have a teeny tiny bit of onion and 5 cherry tomatoes. So we're going to put a little avocado in there too. Let's put a little avocado in here. Kind of make our own little guacamole pico de gallo. This is frozen avocado. So I'll just put a little bit in it. There's only 3 pieces left. So that much pico de gallo. And where'd my cilantro go? I'm going to add in some cilantro. And I'll put in a little bit of this harissa seasoning. This is the powder version. And we're going to leave it at that. Put the lid on. And we're going to pulse it. That's probably the frozen avocado and they're fighting it. Yeah, buddy. Look at that. Let's put all that in a little container here. We actually could do it. You know what? Let's go just a wee bit longer. Hang on. Just a wee bit longer. This is the part I have maybe because it's not on straight. Get on there, little feller. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Let me pull this out. And I'll show you what we're going to use. This is our version of a pico de gallo / avocado. This little thing works great. Thank you, Gloria. She got it off the QVC, so I don't know exactly. It's a Viviano. The Fabio Viviani is the brand. But anyway. Look at that. We're going to have that on there. Doesn't that look fun and festive? All right, let's go check our beans. It's been 7 minutes, and I feel like it's getting closer, but still not there. But it's because I added in that extra, the extra broth, which is fine. We expected that. So, yeah. Let's try it again in another 5 minutes. Well, I feel like this is as good as it's going to get. As smooth as it's going to get. I could zhuzh it up some more, but I think this is going to be perfect. So let's go on and get this plated up and see what we think. Let's give it a taste. If you saw the beginning of my video, you already tasted it. But here's the beans. Look at that. They're darker. That's because of black beans. Black soybeans. And then our rice chicken. And then our onions and peppers. And steak bites. And of course our guacamole. Yes, please. Now, you don't have to go out to eat to a Mexican restaurant anymore. And it is yum, yum, get you some. All right, this is going to be my supper. Bye.